Did you know that the EPA estimates that 75% of the American waste stream is recyclable, but we only recycle about 30% of it? Imagine what our planet would look like if we recycled all 75% of our waste stream. My name is Paige Sevits, and today I'm here to talk to you about why you should recycle. I find this topic to be very interesting since I've recycled my whole life, and I really do wonder what our planet would look like if more people recycled. In my presentation today, I will talk about how recycling helps create less waste and save energy, how recycling helps the economy, and how easy recycling is. I will also show you some examples of things that are and aren't recyclable. I will start by explaining what recycling is and talking about how recycling helps our planet create less waste. According to EPA.gov, recycling is the process of collecting and processing materials that would otherwise be thrown away as trash and turning them into new products. Recycling can help the planet in many ways. One way recycling helps the planet is by preventing the emissions of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Recycling also generates less solid waste because there are less new materials being created. This, in turn, means that we as humans are creating less waste. Another benefit of recycling is that it prevents the need for new landfills. Landfills are the sites where all of our trash is held, and so with less landfills, we are creating less waste. We are also creating less air and water pollution by recycling. Because we are drilling and mining less, the amount of both air and water pollution decreases. Next, I will talk about how recycling saves energy. According to SaveOnEnergy.com, recycling saves energy by eliminating the need to make new materials from scratch. Using recycled materials is easier on us and the environment because it is extremely difficult to find the natural resources that go into aluminum, plastic, and glass. The team at SaveOnEnergy.com writes, with the amount of energy it takes to make one virgin aluminum can, you could make 20 recycled cans and fast. Aluminum can keep being reused over and over again without ever having to change the process. According to the article, How Does Recycling Save Energy?, Carell states that manufacturing recycled paper goods uses 40% less energy and half the amount of water required to make non-recycled products. Not only does recycling save energy, it also saves water and natural resources as well. Now I will talk about how recycling helps the economy and can help save us money in the long run. Recycling is actually really helpful when it comes to the economy. Recycling facilities create jobs, which in turn creates wages and government tax revenue. Another reason that recycling helps the economy is that it's cheaper to manufacture goods that have already been created versus having to create an entire new product. According to GeneralKinematics.com, recycling also avoids the cost of waste disposal in landfills and incinerators. As less landfills are needed, more land can be put to economic use, saving money on space and bolstering revenue. Finally, I will talk about how easy it is to recycle. I understand that it is difficult to see how recycling can help us. You really have to think ahead when you're recycling. We are recycling for ourselves, but we're also recycling so that our children and our grandchildren have a better life where they aren't constantly worrying about the environment. Recycling is super simple. Most cities have a community recycling program. Some are even run by the same company that picks up your trash. And if your city doesn't have a recycling program, you can easily find a drop-off center near you. Make sure you read and figure out what is and isn't recyclable according to your program or your drop-off center. So for example, in the program that we use, some things that would be considered recyclable would be aluminum pop cans like these, or plastic bottles, plastic pop bottles, or plastic water bottles. There are other things that are recyclable, but those two are the most that we recycle. And then some things that wouldn't be considered recyclable would be styrofoam takeout boxes like this. And then another big one would be pizza boxes. A lot of people think these are recyclable because they're cardboard, but there's a lot of grease in both these items from the food that comes in them. So there's no way for them to get that grease out and be able to use it again. If you find something that you aren't sure if it is or isn't recyclable, see if you have any other uses for it in your life. Oftentimes there are things that we can use more over and over again and we don't even realize it. A big thing I think of is clothes. I go through so many clothes, but I don't throw the clothes I'm getting rid of out. I donate them to Goodwill or a homeless shelter just because chances are there's someone out there that needs that more than I do or has a better use for it than I do. So I always think about donating, especially with like kitchenware items. I will donate those. I just wouldn't throw it out. I would always donate it to like a Goodwill or something. Once you've done all these things, it is time to start collecting your recyclable items. The program I use gives us a container just like our trash can, so it's really nice to hold all of our recyclable items. And I do realize that oftentimes there is a fee associated with community recycling programs, but we aren't recycling to see the benefits immediately. We're recycling to make sure that our children and grandchildren have a bright future. where they aren't constantly worrying about the environment. In conclusion, I hope that my presentation today has convinced you all to start recycling if you weren't already. We are privileged enough to live in the US and have the opportunity to be able to recycle, and yet so many people don't. Today I talked to you about how recycling creates less waste and saves energy, how recycling helps the economy, and how easy it is to recycle. I hope my presentation and my example of things that you can recycle helped to sway you to start recycling.